which entries and how the entries will be passed in the journal. Now comes to the next topic, that is ledger and trial balance. If you post an entry in a journal, could you able to find how much amount you have to receive from the third party, or how much amount you have to pay to the third party, how much asset you have on a particular date, how much liabilities you have on a particular date, how much cash you have on a particular date, what is the bank balance on a particular date? Could you able to understand with the help of ledger only? No, it is not possible, because in journal we record only the chronological form of the entries, and we are not able to understand how much amount we have to receive from the third party and how much amount we have to pay. So we have to classify the entries in a particular accounts related to the account entries. This process is known as ledger. Each transaction affects two accounts. In each account, transaction related to that accounts are recorded. For example, sale of goods taking place number of times in a year will be put under one account, that is sales account. All the accounts identified on the basis of transactions recorded in different journals, books such as cash book, purchase book, sales book, etc., will be opened and maintained in a separate book called ledger. So a ledger is a book of account in which all types of accounts related to the asset, liabilities, capital, expenses and revenues are maintained. It is a complete set of accounts of business enterprise. Ledger is a bound book which pages continuously numbered. It may also be bundle of a sheets. Thus, from the various journal books of business enterprises, all transactions recorded throughout the accounting year are placed in relevant account in the ledger, though the process of posting of transaction in the ledger. Thus, posting is the process of transfer of the entries from journal, special journal book to ledger. So, what is ledger? What is a ledger? Is a bounded book which have the continuous number, page number, and all the entries related to one particular account will be posted in that account. To know how much the amount is expend, or how much the amount earned from that account, or how much amount we have to pay, or how much amount we have to receive from the parties. Okay. Features of ledger. Ledger is an account book that contains various accounts to which various business transactions of business enterprises are posted. In the chapter of journal, we have learned that any business transaction which recorded in the books of account known as entries, and the entry will, when posted in the particular account, known as posting. The account which is affected in the journal entries posted in the respective account known as posting. The process of recording of the entries in a particular ledger is known as posting. Ledger is an account book that contains various accounts to which various business transactions of a business enterprise are posted. It is a book of final entries because the transactions that are first recorded in the journal or special books purpose book are finally posted in the ledger. It is also called the principal book of account. Ledger is also called a principal book of account. In the ledger, all types of accounts related to the asset, liabilities, capital, revenues, and expenses are maintained. It is a permanent record of business transactions classified into relevant accounts. It is the reference book of accounting system and is used to classify and summarize the transactions to facilitate the pre-preparation of financial statements. These are the features of the ledger. Now comes to the format of the ledger. This is the format of ledger. Ledger had two sides. The left hand side known as debit side and the right hand side known as credit side. There are uh, four column in each side. First column is date, second column is particular, third column will be journal folio, and fourth column will be amount. Similarly, the credit side have four columns: date, particulars, journal folio, and an amount. Importance of ledger, utility of ledger. Ledger is an important book of account. It contains all the accounts in which all the transactions of business enterprises are classified. At the end of the accounting period, each account will contain the entire information of all the transactions related to it. Following are the advantage of ledgers. First one is knowledge of business result. Ledger provides detailed information about revenues and expenses at one place. While finding out business result, the revenues and expenses are matched with each other. Knowledge of book values of asset. What is the book value of asset? Can anybody tell? What is the book value of asset? What is the book value of asset? Can anybody tell what is the book value of asset?
Sir, is it cost?
Yes, it is cost. But there is a slight difference between cost and a book value. We have learned about book value in the second session we have taken. I have taken, and I told you about the historical cost.
So it is
Do
the
you know
asset
about?
without any liabilities.
No. It is asset without any liabilities, not is book value. Book value is of asset means the value of asset on a particular date after charging depreciation. The value of asset on a particular date after charging depreciation known as book value of asset. Just take an example. If you purchase a machinery before 3 years, 3 years before, rupees 50,000, and the value of machineries on the today's date, rupees 30,000. So the present value of the asset on a particular date, on the current date, known as book value after charging depreciation. There is a difference between the cost when we purchase the asset and today is known as depreciation. Okay. So what is the book value of asset? The value of asset on a particular date or current date known as book value of asset. So if we want to know how what is the book value of asset, we have to maintain the ledger account. Ledger provides detailed information about revenues and book value of asset. Ledger records every asset separately. Hence, you can get the information about the book value of any asset whenever you need. Useful for management. The information given in different ledger account will help the management in preparing budgets. It also helps the management in keeping the check on the performance of business it is managing. Knowledge of financial position. Ledger provides information about asset and liabilities of the business. From this, we can judge the financial position on and the health of the business. Instant information. The business always need to know what is owned to others and what the owns others own to it. The ledger account provide this information at a glance through the accounts receivables and payables. इतने सेशन में बेटा अभी इतने जितने भी मैंने चीजें बताई इसमें किसी को कोई डाउट है तो मुझसे पहले डिस्कस कर लीजिए क्योंकि टर्मोलॉजी से भी दिक्कत कर सकती है आपको और किसी भी टर्मोलॉजी में आपको डाउट हो रहा है तो यू आर फ्री टू कंसर्न विद मी। किसी को कोई टर्मोलॉजी में डाउट या किसी टर्म में डाउट तो अभी आप मुझसे डिस्कस कर सकते हैं। किसी लर्नर को कोई डाउट है किसी टर्मोलॉजी को या किसी पॉइंट को लेकर, तो फिर मैं आगे बढ़ूं।
सर एक क्वेश्चन था। तो
हाँ
जब
पूछिए।
हम बुक वैल्यू बोलते हैं, राइट, और आप कह रहे हैं कि मैनेजमेंट को बजट डिसाइड करने के लिए चाहिए होता है, राइट? सो
हम्म।
जैसे कोई चीज हमने परचेज कर ली है, वो डेप्रिशिएटेड में जा रही है। बजट तो
हम्म।
समथिंग रहेगा ना कि हमारे फ्यूचर प्लान्स क्या है, उसके हिसाब से बजट एलोकेट करना है। तो जो
ठीक है,
डेप्रिशिएटेड वैल्यू है, वो कहाँ पे यूज होते हैं? मतलब इज इट लाइक मतलब
मैं बता रहा हूँ
कि
आपको।
हम
देखिए इसमें इसमें ऐसा होगा, अभी अभी जो अभी पढ़ रहे हैं ना, जो डाउट मुझसे पूछ रहे हैं, इसमें बेसिकली
हाँ
पता ये
हाँ
होता है कि जैसे मान लीजिए मैं कोई बिजनेस स्टार्ट करता हूँ, तो मुझे कुछ
हाँ
अमाउंट
हाँ
उसमें इन्वेस्ट करना पड़ता है किसी पर्टिकुलर एसेट को लेकर या किसी पर्टिकुलर कोई प्रॉपर्टी को लेकर। जैसे मान लीजिए मैं एक
हाँ,
प्रोजेक्ट लाता हूँ तो उसमें तीन चार हमारे पास ऑल्टरनेटिव्स होते हैं, तो अमाउंट हमें इन्वेस्ट करना पड़ेगा। और
ठीक है।
हम अब ये जानना चाहेंगे कि जो अमाउंट हम इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं वो हमें पे बैक कब होगा। भाई अगर मैं कोई अमाउंट इन्वेस्ट करता हूँ 5 लाख रुपए मान लीजिए, तो मैं ये जानना
हाँ
चाहूंगा
हाँ।
कितने समय में किस प्रोजेक्ट को लेने पर मुझे वो पे बैक जल्दी मिलेगा। तो
अच्छा
वहां पर हमको लेजर अकाउंट्स की जरूरत पड़ेगी। ठीक है, कितने समय
अच्छा।
में हमको कोई अमाउंट रिसीवेबल हो रहा है, मतलब किसमें प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी ज्यादा है और किसमें पे बैक पीरियड कम है, ये जानने के लिए हमें लेजर अकाउंट्स प्रिपेयर करने पड़ेंगे। इसलिए वहां पर हमको लेजर अकाउंट्स की जरूरत पड़ सकती है। या
सो
ये
सो
भी कह सकते हैं आप, जैसे मान लीजिए, हाँ
नहीं नहीं,
पूछिए
आप
पूछिए।
बोलिए पहले। तो
मैं ये
मतलब
कह रहा हूँ
बेसिकली
जैसे
अगर मैं बोलूँ,
हाँ हाँ बोलिए बोलिए।
सॉरी, नहीं मैं सो
कोई बात नहीं।
बेसिकली आप जो कह रहे हैं, जैसे हम लोग ट्रांसपोर्ट का बिजनेस कर रहे हैं, तब उसमें जैसे हमने इन्वेस्ट किया, 4 कारें ले लिया, 4 ट्रक ले लिए, तो उसकी डेप्रिशिएटेड वैल्यू के हिसाब से हम मतलब डिसाइड करेंगे कब हमें प्रॉफिट मिलना शुरू होगा या ऐसा कुछ।
बिल्कुल। अब अगर आप कार लेना चाहते हैं तो आप कौन सी कार लेंगे, किस कार की
हाँ।
परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी है, किस कार में मेंटेनेंस की कॉस्ट कम आएगी। ठीक है, कौन सी
हम्म
कार ज़्यादा कन्वीनियंट होगी हमारे कस्टमर्स के लिए, इसको देख के तो आप लेंगे। तो इसके लिए भी आपको प्रॉपर एक रिकॉर्ड चाहिए होगा अपने पास्ट एक्सपीरियंस के थ्रू, तभी तो आप बजट प्रिपेयर कर पाएंगे उसका।
हम्म।
अगर मान लीजिए आप कोई कार
सर,
परचेज करना चाहते हैं और आपके पास 7 लाख का बजट है और आपके पास 6 कार
हाँ,
का ऑप्शन है, तो कौन सी कार परचेज करेंगे आप?
7 लाख, 7 लाख के अंदर जो आएगी।
7 लाख का, 5 लाख का बजट है, 6 कारें 5 लाख के
अच्छा।
बजट में आती हैं अलग अलग कंपनीज की, किस कार को परचेज
हाँ।
करेंगे आप? बस यही सीखना है आपको। जो मैनेजमेंट अकाउंटिंग फॉर मैनेजर्स का मतलब ही यही हुआ कि जब आप मैनेजमेंट
हम्म
करेंगे तो किस
हम्म
किस असेट में आपको इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए ताकि आपको प्रॉपर रिटर्न मिल सके। ठीक है,
हम्म।
यही हमको अकाउंटेंसी का जो पार्ट हम लोग पढ़ रहे हैं यहाँ पर, तो छोटा पार्ट हम लोग पढ़ने जा रहे हैं यहाँ पे। तो इसमें हमको यही सीखना है कि कौन से ऑल्टरनेटिव्स को हमें यूज करना है जिससे हमें रिटर्न अच्छा मिले, प्लस हमारी जो पे बैक पीरियड है वो कम से कम हो, तभी तो हमको फायदा
तो सर
होगा।
इसमें लेजर में जो एंट्री होती है, जैसे डेप्रिशिएटेड वैल्यू, जो बुक वैल्यू होगी,
हाँ
वो तो फिर
हाँ
वन
हाँ।
टाइम होगी ना, फिर उसके बेसिस पे कैलकुलेशन हम
नहीं,
फर्दर
हर
कर
साल
सकते
होगी
हैं।
बेटा, हर साल होगी। डेप्रिसिएशन केवल एक
अच्छा
बार नहीं लगेगा, लगातार चलता चला जाएगा जब तक कि वैल्यू नहीं हो जाएगी एसेट की हमारी। ठीक है,
अच्छा। ठीक।
तो अब आगे
ठीक है।
बढ़ता हूँ मैं, किसी को डाउट नहीं इसमें। इतनी पॉइंट्स करने के बाद आगे देखिए इसके टाइप्स ऑफ लेजर्स। In large scale business organization, the number of accounts may be run into hundreds. It is not always possible for a businessman to accommodate all these accounts in one ledger. They therefore maintain more than one ledger. These ledgers may be classified maybe as follows. Asset ledger. It contains accounts relating to the asset only, that is machinery account, building account, furniture account, etc. Liabilities ledger. It contains the accounts of the various liabilities, that is capital, owners or partners, loan account, bank overdraft, etc. Revenue ledger. It contains the revenue accounts, that is sales account, commission earned, rent received, interest received, etc. Expenses ledger. It contains the various accounts of expenses incurred, that is wages account, rent paid to account, electricity charges account, etc. Debtors ledger. It contains the accounts of the individual trade debtors of the business, individuals, firms, and institutions to whom the goods and services are sold on credit by the business. become the trade debtors of the business. Creditors ledger. It contains the accounts of the individual trade creditors of the business, individuals, firms, and institutions from whom a business purchase goods and services on the credit are called trade creditors of the business. So these are some types of ledger: asset ledger, liabilities ledger, revenue ledger, expenses ledger, debtors ledger, creditors ledger, and journal ledger. It contains all those accounts which are not covered under any of the above types of ledger. For example, landlord account, prepaid insurance account, outstanding salary account, etc. Now comes to the process of posting. Posting of ledger journal proper into the ledger. Purpose of opening an account in the ledger is to bring all the related entries of this account which might have been recorded in different books of accounts on different dates at one place. The process involved in this exercise is called posting into the ledger. This procedure is adopted for each account. To take the item from the journal to the relevant account in the ledger is called posting of journal. Following procedure is followed for posting of journal to ledger. First one is identify both the accounts debit and credit of the journal entry. Open the two accounts in the ledgers. Take an, let's take an example. If you sales good to Mr. X, what entry will be passed? If you sold goods to Mr. X, what journal entry will be passed? If you sold goods to Mr. X, what journal entry will be passed? You have to pass a journal entry, that is Mr. X debit to sales account. In this journal entry, which of the two accounts are debited and credited? Mr. X account will be debited and sales account will be credited. As per the rule we have discussed in the previous class or previous lecture, I have told you the golden rule of accounting on the basis of which journal entry will be passed in the journal. So if you sold goods to Mr. X, Mr. X will be receiver and Mr. X belongs to the personal account, and personal account says debit the receiver. So Mr. X will be debit and sales is our income or belongs to the nominal account, and nominal account says all incomes and gains will be credit. That's why Mr. X will be debit and sales account will be credit. So identify both the accounts, debit and credit of the journal entry. So there is a Mr. X account which will be debited and sales account will be credited. Open the two accounts in the journal. So we have to open two accounts. First one Mr. X account and second one is sales account. Post them in the first account by writing date in the date column, name of the account to be credited to the particular column, and the amount in the amount column of the debit side of the account. If we post the entry Mr. X debit to sales account in the Mr. X account, we have to take a look which account will be debited. Mr. X account will be debited. So we have to post journal entry on the debit side of the account which have been debited, that is Mr. X. First of all, we have to write the date of entry. Suppose the entry date is 15th April. So we have to write 2013, 2023, April 15 in the date column. And in the particular column, we have to write the name of the account that is going to credit in this entry. Mr. X is debited against which account? That is sales account. So we have to write in the debit side of Mr. X account to sales account. And let's take an amount rupees 50,000. The amount of 50,000 will be posted to the amount column. Is it clear? Is it clear? Is it clear or not? And when we open sales account, we have to know the sales account credited by whom? Mr. X. So in the credit side of the sales account, first of all, we have to write the date of the transaction, that is 15th April. So we have to write 2023 April 15, and preposition will be used by. So we have to write by, and uh, the account will be which is debited in the transaction, that is Mr. X. We have to write by Mr. X, and the amount will be 50,000. So this is the process of posting in journal. Post the item in the first column according to the written date, name of the account to the credited in the particular column, and the amount in the amount column of the debit side of the account, while the page number of the journal from which the item is taken to the ledger in the folio column, and write the page number of the ledger folio from which account is written in the ledger folio column of the journal. Now take the second account and give the similar treatment. While the date in the date column, name of the account to be debited in the particular column, and the amount particulars column of the amount on the credit side of the ledger. Write the page number of journal in the folio column, and ledger, and page number of the ledger in the ledger folio column of the journal. So this is the process from which we have post the entries in the particular ledger. And when all the entries related to one account have been posted, we have to balance the account. Now comes to the process of balancing of the account. Balancing of an account is the process by finding out the difference between the total of the debit and the total of the credit of an account. If debit side, this is the debit side, I have already told you, the left hand side is a debit side, and right hand side is the credit side. Okay. If the debit side total, suppose the debit side total rupees 50,000, then the credit side, and let the credit side total rupees 30,000. So which side have a greater total? That is debit side. If the debit side total is more than credit side, the amount shows at debit balance. So we have to write in the credit side at the last date of the month, by balance CD. The word will be used by balance CD, and the difference amount will be posted in the amount column. This process of ascertaining and writing the balance of the each account in the ledger is called balancing of account. Similarly, if the credit side has more greater total than the debit side, we have to write in the debit side to balance CD with the balancing amount. An account has two sides, debit and credit. Item by which this account is debited, this account is debited are entered on the debit side with their amount, and the item by which the account is credited are entered on the its credit side with their accounts amount. So all the items related to an account are shown at one place in the ledger. But when you would like to know the net effect on this account, that is the balance between the its debits amount and credit amount, the following steps are followed in the balancing the ledger account. First one is total the two sides of an account on a rough sheet. You have to total with each side of account, and take the total in the rough sheet. Determine the difference between the two sides. If the credit side is more than the debit side, the balance calculated is credit balance. Which side have the grand total or great total, which known the balance belong to that side. If the debit side has more than credit side, the balance belong to credit balance, and if the debit side has the greater total than the credit side, that balance belongs to the debit balance. Put the difference on the shorter side of the account, which such that the total of the two sides of the accounts are equal. If the difference column is written on the debit side, that is, if credit side is bigger, then written as balance CD. CD stand for carried down. If difference is written down on the credit side, that is, if debit side is bigger, then it is write as balance CD. Finally, Finally, at the end of the year, all the ledger accounts are closed by taking out the balance of the each account. The balance then should be brought down or carried forward to the next period. If the difference was put on the credit side as balance CD, it shows how now we write on the debit side of the account as balance sheet BD. BD stand for brought down and vice versa. Thus debit balance will be automatically be brought down on the debit side and the credit balance on the credit side. So this is the process from which we balance the account. Balancing of different types of account assets. All the assets are balanced. These accounts always have debit balance. All the accounts which open in the ledger have to be balanced. Someone have balancing amount and someone have tallied total on the both side. If the account have the tallied total on the both side, you need not to balance that account. Only those accounts will be balanced which have greater either credit side or debit side. So all the assets account will be balanced, and the asset account always have debit balance. Liabilities, all the liabilities account are balanced, and the liability side have always credit balance. Capital account will be balanced, and as the capital is a liability, the capital account have credit balance. Expenses or revenue, expenses accounts will be totaled up. The debit total of expenses and losses will be shown in the debit expenses and losses. In the same manner, credit total of the revenue and income will be shown the income of increase in income. At the time of preparing the total of these are taken to the balance sheet trial balance. The balance of the assets and liabilities and the capital account will be shown in the balance sheet, whereas total of expenses or losses and revenue income will be taken to the trading account and profit and loss account. These accounts are thus closed if two sides of an account, usually asset and liabilities and capital, are equal. There will be no balance. The account is then simply closed by totaling up the two sides. Okay, so this is the process of posting of entries from the journal to the ledger. This is the process of posting entries from journal to the ledger. And after preparing ledger, we have to move forward to prepare our final accounts. But with the help of journal ledger only, we could not able to prepare our final account, because we have to check whether the accounts are mathematically accurate or not. Is there any totaling mistake? Is there any posting mistake? And any other mistake occurs in the account, or we want to know if the account are accurate or not, we have to prepare trial balance. We have to prepare trial balance to know the arithmetical accuracy of the our ledger and journal. So move forward to the next point is the trial balance. Trial balance. An accountant always want to be sure that the ledger account she has prepared are correct in the respect of the amount, sides, balance, etc. To check the accuracy of posting in the ledger, a statement is prepared. This statement is called a trial balance. You also know that accounts are prepared by the applying double entry system. According to this system, every debit of a transaction has corresponding credit for the same amount. Since hence the total of the debit balance of the different account in the ledger must be equal to the total of the credit balance, because we prepare our account on the basis of double entry system, and double entry system says that every debit has a corresponding credit and every credit has a corresponding debit. So there should be the uh, totaling tallied in the totaling in the trial balance. It means that balance a debit balance always equal to the amount of credit balance. According to this system, every debit of a transaction has corresponding credit for the same amount. Hence, the total of the debit balance of the different account in the ledger must be equal to the total credit in the remaining accounts. Providing transactions have been correctly posted in the ledger, a statement is preparing containing these balance with two sides. That is debit column containing debit balances and credit column containing credit balances. The debit column total is compared with credit column total. If the columnar total are same, it implies that ledger accounts are arithmetically accurate. Okay. Now comes to the meaning and objective of preparing trial balance. At the end of accounting year, these accounts are balanced. To check the accuracy of posting in the ledger, a statement is prepared with two columns, that is debit column and credit column, which contain debit balance of account and credit balance of account respectively. Total of the two columns are if equal, it means that ledger posting is arithmetically correct. This statement is called trial balance. Trial balance may be defined as a statement which contains balance of all the ledger accounts on a particular date. Trial balance consists of a debit column with all the debit balances of account and credit column with all the credit balances of account. These the total of these column if tally, it is presumed that ledger has been maintained correctly. However, trial balance prove only the arithmetical accuracy of posting in the ledger. So, what is the trial balance? Trial balance is a statement which contains balances of all the ledger account in a particular date. Trial balance contains debit column with all debit balances and credit column with all credit balances of the accounts. Objective of preparing trial balance. Following are the objective of preparing trial balance. First one is to check arithmetical accuracy. Arithmetical accuracy is the in the ledger posting means writing correct amount in the correct account and its correct side, while posting transaction of the various original books of accounts such as cash book, purchase book, sales book, etc. It also means that not only the correct balance of the ledger account, put also the total of the special purpose books. Second one is to help in preparing financial statement. The ultimate objective of the accounting is to prepare financial statement, that is trading and profit and loss account and balance sheet of a business enterprises at the end of accounting year. These statement contains balances of various ledger accounts. As trial balance contains balances of all ledger accounts, in financial statement the balances of ledger account are carried from the trial balance for proper analysis. Help in locating errors. If the two column of the trial balance agrees, it is a proof of arithmetical accuracy in the ledger posting. However, if the total of the two column do not tally, it indicates that there are some mistake in the ledger accounts. This prompts the accountant to find the errors. Next, helps in comparison. Comparison of ledger account balances of one year with the corresponding balances with the previous year helps the management taking some important decisions. This is possible by using the trial balance of the 2 years. Helps in making adjustments. While making financial statements, adjustments regarding closing stock, prepaid expenses, outstanding expenses, etc. are to be made. Trial balance help in identifying the items acquiring adjustments in preparing the financial statements. Trial balance is generally prepared at the end of the year. However, it can be prepared at any time during the accounting year to check the accuracy of the posting. Preparation of trial balance. How? The trial balance we prepared. Trial balance is not an account. It is only a list of the or schedule of the balances of ledger accounts, including cash and bank balances. It is prepared on a particular date. There is no fixed date to prepare a trial balance. Any company or any business institution can prepare a ledger account as per its convenience. There is no particular date mentioned in accounting to prepare a trial balance. We can prepare a trial balance as per our convenience or as per the rules prescribed by the laws. The accounts having a debit balance are entered in the debit column, and credit balance accounts are entered in the credit column amount. The total of the two sides of the account may also be used to be prepare trial balance. The sum of each column should be equal. This is the format of the trial balance. Trial balance, as we know that trial balance is not an account, is a statement or a list of accounts or schedule of the account. It has four column. First column related to account title or name of the account. Second column is ledger folio number. You need not to prepare this column. If you do not want this column, you need not to draw this column. Debit balance amount and credit balance amount, and the respective accounts which will prepare in the ledger will posted one by one. Capital account, we know that capital account have credit balance, so it will be posted in the credit side balance account. Land in building it is an asset, have a debit balance. Plant and machinery will have the debit balance. Equipment is an asset, will have the debit balance. Furniture and fixtures will have the debit balance. Cash and bank balance will be debit because these are the assets. Debtors will have the debit balance. Bills receivable will have the debit balance. Stock of raw materials, stock of finished goods purchased, carriage inward, carriage outward will be debited because these are the example of some assets and expenses. Sales will be credit because it is an income. Sales return will be debit because it is loss. Purchase return will be credit because it is our gain. Interest paid on commission, this is our expenses, will be debited. Commission and discount received will be credited because this is our income. Salaries we will have to pay by the organization, will have the debit balance because it is our expenses. Long term loan is a liability, will have the credit balance. Bills payable are liability, will have the credit balance. Creditor will our liability, will have the credit balance. Advances from customer is our liability, will have the credit balance. And drawings related to owner's personal expenses, and this will be debit. So the if we total all this column, the total should be tallied. Okay. The name of the business firm is written on the top of the statement with the trial balance. Under the this, we write the date on which the trial balance is prepared. Trial balance has three columns: name of the ledger account, debit amount, and credit amount. In the ledger account column, we write the amount, name of the account. In the debit amount column, we write the amount of the debit balance of the amount account, or the total of the debit side of the account. Similarly, in the credit amount column, we write the amount of the credit balance of the total amount account, or the total of the credit side of the total account. Finally, the columnar total is done and compared. These are the steps to prepare trial balance. Steps to preparing trial balance. At first, ascertain the balance account wise of all the ledger accounts. Write the name of the ledger account in the ledger column account. Write against the name of the ledger account the balance amount, total amount, debit balance amount, total in the debit column, and the credit balance and total in the credit column. Add the debit balance and total amount column and credit balance total amount column. Methods of preparing trial balance. So there are the three methods from the help of which we can prepare trial balance. There are the three methods. First one is balancing method. In this method, the balance of the each account which may be debited balance or credit balance is extracted and written against each account. We write debit balance in the debit column, balance column, and credit balance in the credit balance column. Total method. In this method, the total of the both side of every account in the ledger is written against the name of the respective account without balancing them in the form of debit or credit balances respectively. And third one is balancing in total amount. Trial balance is prepared by comparing the first and second method. However, in practice, the trial balance is prepared with the debit and credit balances of various accounts in the ledger. Normally, balance method is used. Okay, so these are the three methods from the help of which we can prepare trial balance. तो देखिए अभी जैसे मैं आपको बता रहा था कि इसमें the total of the trial balance should be tallied. If the total of the trial balance should not tally it, ठीक है, if the total of the trial balance could not tally it, what step will be taken at that time? What step will be taken at that time? If trial balance is not tallied, so there is some errors regarding your posting, regarding your journal entry, ठीक है, regarding your ledger posting, regarding your totaling. So we have to find out the what type of errors occurs in this condition. If the sum of the two columns of the trial balance is equal, that is the trial balance is in agreement. It can be assumed that the accounting entries have been arithmetically accurate and correctly posted in the ledger. If the total do not tally, it means there are some error in recording and or in posting in the ledger of the business transactions. The reason due to which the total of the two columns of the trial balance may not be agreed that can be listed as follows. First one, the total of the special purpose book like sales book, purchase book, etc. not done correctly, or there is some mistake in posting of these total in their respective accounts in the ledger. The item from the different special books and journal may be posted to the wrong side of account, or a wrong amount in is posted for to a wrong amount. The balancing of an account is not done correctly. There may be mistake in carrying balance from the ledger account to the trial balance. So these are the some errors which can be occurs if the total of the trial balance could not be tallied. If the trial balance is in agreement, the business transaction have the correctly recorded or posting into the ledger. However, the agreement of the trial balance is not a conclusive proof of the correctness of the recording and posting of the business transactions. If the trial balance tallied, it is not necessarily that your account prepared correctly. The tallying of the trial balance is just a mathematical accuracy. As you have learned that business transactions are also recorded, that all debits have the credit and the some amount of the same amount and vice versa. So the trial balance must be necessarily agreed. But if the debit are matched by the credit through there are mistake in the recording and posting of the trial balance, will still agree. For example, if goods have been purchased from Surendra and if not entered in the purchase book, this error will not affect the agreement of the trial balance. If you purchase goods from Surendra and no entry will be passed in the ledger in the journal, if you purchase goods from Surendra and if you not recorded this transaction in your journal, then in case your trial balance will be matched or not. If you purchase goods from Surendra and no journal entry will be passed in your ledger journal account, your account will be tallied or not.
No, sir.
बिल्कुल टैली होगा बेटा, क्योंकि इसने आपने एंट्री नहीं पास की। अगर आप जनरल में कोई एंट्री पास नहीं करते हैं, इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि इसका कोई लेजर इफेक्ट नहीं आएगा, और जब लेजर में इफेक्ट नहीं आएगा तो ट्रायल बैलेंस तो टैली कर ही देगा।
ओके।
भाई देखिए, एंट्री का एरर तभी आएगा जब एंट्री जनरल की बुक में पोस्ट हुई होगी। अगर आपने जनरल की एंट्री ही पोस्ट नहीं की तो उसका इफेक्ट हमारे ना लेजर में आएगा ना ट्रायल बैलेंस में आएगा। ठीक है। या मान लीजिए आपने एंट्री पास की, सुरेंद्र से गुड्स परचेज किया, एंट्री आप पास करते हैं परचेज अकाउंट डेबिट टू सुरेंद्र, लेकिन आपने सुरेंद्र की जगह सुशील को कर दिया क्रेडिट वहां पे, तो क्या हमारा ट्रायल बैलेंस टैली होगा वहां पे?
हाँ, उस केस में हो जाना चाहिए क्योंकि पास हो
बिल्कुल हो
जा रहा
जाएगा।
है।
क्यों? क्योंकि बेटा आप एक पर्टिकुलर पर्सन
नाम।
को डेबिट कर रहे हो, चाहे वो गलत नाम से कर रहे हो, लेकिन इसीलिए मैं
हाँ।
कह रहा हूँ कि जो ट्रायल बैलेंस का टैली होना है वो इस बात की गारंटी नहीं कि आपके अकाउंट प्रॉपर्ली मेंटेन हुए हैं, बस वो मैथमेटिकल एक्यूरेसी को आपको जस्टिफाई करता है कि आपने जो टोटलिंग किया है, आपने जो पोस्टिंग किया अमाउंट का, वो प्रॉपर किया है, आपने अकाउंट का नाम सही लिखा है, सही साइड में लिखा है। ये जस्टिफाई आपका ट्रायल बैलेंस का जो टैली होती है वो ये नहीं करती है कि आपका जो अकाउंट है वो प्रॉपर्ली टैलीड हो रहा है, इसका मतलब आपके अकाउंट में कोई एरर नहीं है। ठीक है, तो केवल अर्थमेटिकल एक्यूरेसी को ही ये जस्टिफाई करता है। इसलिए आपसे देखिए लिखा हुआ है इसमें कि ट्रायल बैलेंस इज नॉट अ कंक्लूसिव प्रूफ ऑफ द करेक्टनेस ऑफ रिकॉर्डिंग एंड पोस्टिंग ऑफ द ट्रांजैक्शन। ओके, ये बात समझ में आ गई आपके?
हाँ हाँ।
तो अब देखिए, जब ऐसा केस आएगा तो इसको हम क्या करते हैं, इसके लिए बेटा हम क्या करते हैं, स्क्रूटनी करते हैं अपने अकाउंट्स की दोबारा। लेकिन मान लीजिए कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि हमें अपने अकाउंट बहुत जल्दी प्रिपेयर करने होते हैं, उस केस में क्या करते हैं, जो डिफरेंस आता है हमारे ट्रायल बैलेंस के साइड्स में, उसको हम क्या करते हैं, उसको एक टेम्परेरी अकाउंट ओपन करके ट्रांसफर कर देते हैं, जिसे हम कहते हैं सस्पेंस अकाउंट। ठीक है, जब एक टेम्परेरी अकाउंट ओपन करके उसे हम ट्रांसफर कर देते हैं, जिसे हम कहते हैं सस्पेंस अकाउंट। तो देखिए, नाउ सपोज द ट्रायल बैलेंस डज नॉट एग्री, in that case the difference of the sum amount in the total of the two accounts column of the trial balance, what will you do in this difference? A different account, that is suspense account, is opened with a different difference in the amount put in this account. जैसे मान लीजिए आपके ट्रायल बैलेंस का जो डेबिट साइड का टोटल आ रहा है वो आ रहा है 80,000, और जो क्रेडिट साइड का टोटल आ रहा है वो मान लीजिए आ रहा है 1 लाख रुपीज। तो डिफरेंस जो आया 20,000, उसको हम डेबिट साइड में लिख के इसको एक टेम्परेरी अकाउंट ओपन कर देंगे, इसको कहते हैं हम सस्पेंस अकाउंट। बाद में अपने अकाउंट को हम स्क्रूटनाइज करेंगे और ये चेक करेंगे कि जो 20,000 का डिफरेंस आ रहा है वो क्यों आ रहा है, और उसको हम वहां पर एक प्रॉपर जनरल एंट्री पास करके उसको जो है उसके इफेक्ट को यहाँ पर खत्म कर देंगे। तो इसको हम कहते हैं सस्पेंस अकाउंट। द सस्पेंस अकाउंट with the amount of difference will put on the shorter side of the trial balance. For example, total of the debit column exceed the total of the credit column by rupee 500. The amount of 500 will be written on the credit column against suspense account to make the trial balance agree. ठीक है, तो ये हमारा पूरा प्रोसेस है ट्रायल बैलेंस और लेजर में पोस्टिंग करने का। अब इसमें जो आपको प्रॉब्लम आई है वो मुझे बताइए, मैं आपको एक बार दोबारा से इसमें एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ। किसी भी कंटेंट को लेकर आपकी कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो मुझसे भी आप डिस्कस कर सकते हैं इसको लेकर। किसी भी कंटेंट को लेकर इसकी कोई प्रॉब्लम है या कोई चीज आपको क्लियर नहीं हुई है, मुझे बताइए, मैं दोबारा एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ। किसी को कोई कंटेंट लेकर प्रॉब्लम किसी की? कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं किसी की?
नो सर।
तो ठीक है, मैं इसकी स्लाइड को भी आपको शेयर कर दूंगा ग्रुप पे, इसको आप पढ़ भी लीजिएगा। तो ये हमारा जो टॉपिक था आज का लेजर एंड ट्रायल बैलेंस, उसके रिलेटेड हमारे जो स्लाइड्स थी उसको मैंने एक्सप्लेन कर दिया है, और होपली सभी को समझ में आ गया होगा। उसकी कोई प्रॉब्लम होती है तो मुझसे कंसर्न कर सकते हैं। ठीक है, तो आज का लेक्चर यहीं पे ओवर करते हैं। आपको मैं स्लाइड शेयर कर देता हूँ, उसको एक बार पढ़ लीजिएगा। आपके स्टडी मटेरियल में भी मिलेगा चैप्टर, आप स्टडी मटेरियल से भी इसको देख सकते हैं। और जो मैं आपको समझा रहा था वो आप ट्रायल उसके एग्जाम्पल्स भी आपको स्टडी मटेरियल में मिलेंगे, उसको वहाँ से भी आप चेक कर सकते हैं। ठीक है, तो मैं आज की क्लास ओवर करता हूँ, किसी को कोई डाउट नहीं है? ओके भाई, तो आज की मैं क्लास ओवर करता हूँ। बाय।
Thank
थैंक
you.
यू सर।